Welcome to Also on Wire. Today we're talking about Namewee's continued detention in Iris Hsieh's case. This story has been, well, quite something over the past weeks. It started as just a tragedy, really shocking, but it's blown up into this huge national focus. We're dealing with the sudden death of a Taiwanese internet celebrity, Iris Hsieh, here in a KL hotel.
Hmm.
And now it's officially a murder investigation. But the real amplifier, the involvement of, Namewee, a major Malaysian personality.
Exactly. And when you have a public figure involved like this, the pressure on the investigation just skyrockets, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So let's stick to the facts we know. It centers on the death of Iris Hsieh, 31 years old, Taiwanese celebrity. She passed away in that Kuala Lumpur hotel back on October 22nd. Initially, reports were all about the suddenness, the heartbreak of it.
Right, it's a tragic incident. But then things took a very sharp turn. That classification, sudden death, well, that ended pretty abruptly. The Kuala Lumpur police chief, Fadzil, made a statement, a really game-changing one, on the 4th of this month.
Yes, I remember that.
He announced it was officially being investigated as murder. And that single announcement just changed everything, didn't it? The whole trajectory, the level of scrutiny needed from the police.
It did. And that shift immediately brought Namewee into focus. The police confirmed he was actually there at the hotel when the incident happened. So that placed him right at the center, the timeline the police are trying to piece together so carefully. His presence was that key geographical link they needed for this new line of inquiry.
Okay, so his being there was the first shockwave, but what came next?
Authorities revealed his urine test came back positive for drugs. Now, this isn't just a minor detail, is it? It creates this serious legal problem running alongside the main investigation.
Oh, absolutely. It introduces enormous complexity. You basically have two distinct legal tracks running in parallel now.
Right. First, there's the main murder investigation itself under the Penal Code. That needs evidence, direct or circumstantial, linking him to Iris Hsieh's death. But second, that positive drug test puts him immediately liable under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952.
Section 15(1)(a), is that right? For drug abuse.
That's the one, Section 15(1).
Yep.
So yeah, two separate issues legally.
And that's the real tension here, isn't it? Because, the murder investigation might still be building its case. Maybe it's circumstantial. Maybe they're waiting for forensics. But the drug finding, that's a concrete offense, something the police could potentially press charges on almost immediately. And that really impacts his public image, his whole legal strategy, whatever happens with the murder probe.
Precisely, which makes the timeline right after that murder announcement so, well, interesting. After they reclassified the case on the 4th, Namewee sort of dropped off the radar for a bit.
Yeah, he lost contact.
There was that brief period of silence, which naturally just fueled massive public speculation about what he was doing, what his next move would be.
It certainly added a layer of maybe unnecessary drama to it all.
Yeah.
High-profile guy, murder probe, suddenly vanishes.
Right.
But it wasn't for long. He voluntarily surrendered, didn't he? Turned himself in to the authorities around 1 a.m. on the 5th?
He did. And his surrender immediately kicked off the legal process for detention. The police applied for a remand order. Now, it's really important people understand what remand means here.
Good point.
It's not a conviction. It's not even a formal charge initially. It's basically temporary permission from a magistrate allowing the police to detain a suspect purely to help them investigate thoroughly.
So holding him legally while they gather the evidence they need, like waiting for forensic reports, doing more questioning, checking statements, that kind of thing.
Exactly that. The magistrate looked at the police request and approved an initial 6-day remand period. The police argued, and clearly the magistrate agreed, that this time was essential, especially given how serious a murder charge is, and they also needed to follow up on those initial drug findings. 6 days is fairly standard, but honestly, often not enough for something this complex.
And that brings us right up to date, doesn't it? We're at a critical point this week because that first 6-day detention period, well, it expires tomorrow. The clock's run out on phase 1, essentially.
It has, which leads us to the current situation, this sort of legal standoff. The Dangwongi District Police Chief, Shazali, has been very clear publicly.
Saying the investigation isn't finished.
Exactly. He said the investigation work is not yet complete. Now, when the police say that, it usually means they're still waiting for key pieces of information.
Like?
Things like the full post-mortem report maybe detailing the precise cause of death, or perhaps the final comprehensive toxicology reports that might link the drug use, if any, to the circumstances around Iris Hsieh's death. stuff that takes time.
Okay, so they're not ready to release him, but maybe not ready to finalize charges either? They're signaling they need more time, more runway.
That's the signal, yes. And the next step procedurally is clear. The police are planning to formally apply tomorrow for a second extension of Namewee's detention.
A second one. Now, is that harder to get than the first?
Oh, significantly harder. This is where the legal process really gets scrutinizing. It also gives us a bit of insight into maybe where the police are with their evidence.
Oh, so?
Well, they can't just walk in and say, we need more time. They have to show the magistrate really compelling reasons. They need to demonstrate what progress they've made in the first 6 days.
Right.
And crucially, they have to explain why releasing him now would actually hinder the rest of their investigation.
What specific steps do they still need to take that require him to be detained?
That's fascinating. So the magistrate isn't just rubber stamping it. They're acting as a proper judicial check, asking, okay, what did you do for 6 days? And what vital piece are you still waiting for? The whole application really hinges on the police making that case strongly. It's entirely about necessity, yes. The police are likely using this time, for example, to try and connect that positive drug finding to the actual scene, the hotel room environment.
To see if drugs played any role in what happened to Iris Hsieh, or if it's just a separate issue he has to deal with.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Establishing that link, or lack thereof, is critical. And since the investigation is based at the Dangwangi District Police Headquarters, the application will be handled right there. It just shows how urgent and important this next hearing is.
Can we just touch on the cultural side for a second? Namewee is, well, he's a huge personality, not just here, but across the region.
Massive profile.
So every little step, every application for detention, every update, it's being watched globally almost. Doesn't that put extra pressure on the police to make sure everything is absolutely by the book before they even think about formal charges?
Absolutely does.
Yeah.
That kind of visibility means there's no room for error, no cutting corners. They know that defense lawyers, the public, the media, everyone is scrutinizing their every move.
Yeah.
And given we already know about the positive drug test that's public knowledge, and the police chief himself has confirmed the investigation is ongoing, well, the police really need this second extension.
Why need it so badly?
Think about the optics. Releasing a high-profile suspect now, only to potentially rearrest him a few days later if, say, the final damning forensic report comes in. That looks messy. They'll want to consolidate their position first.
Right, get all their ducks in a row. Which leads to the question we want to put out there, to you listening. Considering how tough it is to get a second extension, the police have to prove they need it, and they've made progress. What does the fact they're asking for more time actually tell us?
Good question.
Does it suggest they feel they're close, maybe just waiting on that one final piece of evidence linking him to the murder? Or does it suggest they're still struggling to bridge that gap between him just being present and actual culpability? Are they heavily reliant on those outstanding forensic reports? What are your thoughts?
Because, in short, tomorrow's hearing is, well, it's the procedural linchpin for the whole case right now. You've got this high-profile murder investigation, a major celebrity involved, the complication of a positive drug test.
Yeah.
And the authorities clearly saying they need more time to wrap it all up thoroughly. The police are maintaining they need to be diligent, especially when aiming for a murder charge, which has a very high burden of proof.
So the outcome tomorrow, whether the magistrate grants that extension or not, it will really dictate the immediate future of this case, won't it?
Profoundly. If the extension is approved, the police get that crucial extra time, likely to wait for and analyze complex forensic data. If it's denied,
Then what?
then the police are essentially forced into a corner. They either have to release Namewee, perhaps pending further investigation or charge decisions, or they have to file whatever charges they feel they can support right now.
Which might just be the drug offense initially.
That would seem the most likely immediate charge if they can't hold him longer for the murder investigation, yes.
Yeah.
So the stakes tomorrow couldn't be higher, really.
It feels like the whole legal process, especially this second remand request, becomes a kind of public measure of the evidence they actually have.
That's a good way to put it. It's not just a formality. It's basically the police admitting, okay, the first 6 days weren't enough to get conclusive proof for the main charge. They're pushing against the clock now to build that strong foundation before they have to proceed.
Tomorrow should certainly give us a much clearer picture of what's really happening behind the scenes. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.